Hey, just want to give a quick opinion on whether or not the Chargers should be trying to draft a wide receiver with their number 5 pick or trade down. So, just a quick thing about the wide receiver. So, I love both of the top two wide receivers. I really haven't looked at Rome Odunze that much, but Marvin Harrison Jr. Just seems to have a phenomenal highlight tape that just goes on forever. And he seems like a very safe pick. If he was on the board and I was the Chargers GM, I would probably just draft him and not trade down. But I'm I wouldn't be upset if Malik Neighbors was there and the Chargers drafted him. I actually prefer Malik Neighbors, but I wouldn't draft him over Marvin Harrison Jr. after what I've seen. And here's why I actually prefer Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr. is because of the quarterback that the Chargers have. So if you take a look at maybe Tyron Johnson, Jalen Guyton, back in Herbert's rookie season, they made legendary plays for the Chargers, like that big bomb that Herbert threw to Jalen Guyton against the Jaguars, that absolute bomb that he called against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so did Tyron Johnson. He also had that big catch against the Falcons. I mean, if you give Herb a really fast wide receiver, like even DeAndre, I think his name was DeAndre Johnson. I apologize. I forgot the guy's name. But DeAndre Carter, I think his name was, not Johnson. DeAndre Carter. Let me make sure that's him. Yeah, that's him. DeAndre Carter. So even DeAndre Carter was able to come in and make plays for the Chargers. But then if you take a look at him on other teams, so let me look at his stats real quick. So with the Chargers, he had 538 yards receiving. Went to the Raiders, had 39 yards receiving. The year before, he had 296 with the Washington football team or whatever they were called at the time. So take a look at that. Or if you take a look at Tyron Billy Johnson, let's see. Take a quick look at his stats. So his rookie season with the Chargers, he caught 20 passes on 26 targets, for crying out loud, for 398 yards. He was cut foolishly by Brandon Staley, one of the stupidest decisions I've ever heard of in my life. And the guy caught 16 yards passing the next year and then 8 yards passing the next. So if you were to give Justin Herbert a guy like Malik Neighbors, the guy would absolutely explode on the field. I'm telling you, this guy would freaking explode. Now, I don't know how different Marvin Harrison Jr. would be from Keenan Allen, but I know Malik Neighbors would explode if he comes to the Chargers. Now, after saying all that, I have to admit that I'm team trade down because I'm more interested in filling out the roster than having a wide receiver. As long as we're running the ball and we have third and shorts, I don't particularly think that you need a name wide receiver. You just need fast guys that Herbert can get the ball to. But I would say that the Chargers' needs, off the top of my head, would be center, even though we have a center I'm excited about that we signed as a free agent. Corner, a dynamic tight end, a defensive tackle or two, and, of course, wide receiver. Now, I don't think the wide receiver is a big need in this offense. Dominating run blockers are, dominating defensive lines are. But if you put some explosive, very fast wide receivers on this team and you have a great rushing attack, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Herbert to absolutely drop a bomb on a defense. Now, who are some of my favorite players? Now, I love, I would, if you leave it up to me, the guy that we'd be going after, there'd be two of them in the first round. Brock Bowers and Jackson Powers Johnson. I love both of those guys. You could probably only get one of them, and you probably would want to trade down. But Brock Bowers is a guy I'd like, if he's really as good a receiving tight end as they say he is, if he could replace Antonio Gates or come close to maybe 80% of that production, that would be an absolute, that would be a franchise changer for the Chargers. And it would be a disaster for the Chiefs and the other teams in the AFC West if they had a guy like Antonio Gates to receive passes. I don't necessarily know that Brock Bowers is that guy, but from what everyone says about him, he's pretty good. I also like that wide receiver out of Georgia, Lad McConkey. Braylon Allen, the big bruising running back that fits the Charger style. He's young, so you can mold him a little bit. I think he's going to be 20, or he just turned 20. And then for some reason, I really love Jerry Rice's son, Brendan Rice. Matter of fact, if I got a chance to get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brendan Rice on the same team and then grab Luke McCaffrey, I'd do that. I mean, just because. But yeah, and I think as far as trading down is concerned, so you might be able to get some of these guys that I named, even though I don't necessarily think the Chargers are going to be looking at those same guys. But it's the same concept as, cutting two of the big four and having the other two take pay cuts. A guy like Keenan Allen's one of my favorite players of all time. So is Mike Williams. But by cutting those two guys and saving that huge amount of money, I mean, I haven't done the calculations, but man, that's got to be about 10 current players and another 10 to 20 players overall that the Chargers can get by cutting those guys, signing a bunch of cheap free agents, getting some comp picks, drafting some guys. I mean, that's so many players that the Chargers are going to get in exchange for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams that it doesn't even make sense to be upset that those guys are no longer with the team, even though I love both of those players. They're two of my favorites of all time. And let's see. So I think that's about it, though. So I think I would, if I was in control of the Chargers and I had an opportunity to trade down, it'd be hard for me to do it to leave a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Nabers off the team. But I think that it might be a good idea to fill out the team if you trade down. So I'm team trade down, even though I really want both Marvin Harrison and Malik Nabers, and I want to trade down, but you can't have everything. So if I give me the choice, I would go ahead and trade down and grab those extra players.